This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon/2headed nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Our story this week picks up where we left off last week.
Broadcasting from the ZIGGURAT at Omaha and caverns deep below the metro area, where we've been shooting old TVs with the Hellfire shotgun we picked up. It's our pleasure to welcome you to episode 743 of the Two-Witted Nerd Comic Book Podcast. I'm your head number one, the internet's Joe Patrick, and let me tell you what, that thing does some damage.
I'm your head number two. My name is Matt Baum. It's time for another Slack Issue Show where we read classic comics that we missed in our youths. And this time, we're going to finish the Fiendish mission we started in our last Slack Issues episode, and it's only fitting we do it on International Goth Day. Hope you're having a good one to whoever who chooses to celebrate, but I guess we wish
happy to,
I think you would wish pain and suffering.
And also
right?
with you?
I think it's like a nihilist who even cares is like the proper greeting or something. It's time for part 2 of our deep dive into Marvel's 1992 Rise of the Midnight Suns event.
After that, we'll set you up with our must-read picks for next week's new comics, but now do not expect answers, closure, or even a satisfactory ending. Well, okay, come on. We'll discuss it.
I wasn't satisfied.
Because we're not even sure this qualifies as an event comic back issue review time in the ZIGGURAT.
This classic story. It's like issues with Joe and Matt. Oh yeah!
Okay, sure.
Before we get back into it, let's do a previously on Slack Issues, Rise of the Midnight Suns, Part 1. Ghost Rider had a scary vision. Well, Ghost Rider and Danny had a scary vision. Lillith punched her way out of a demon whale's butt. Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze, a.k.a. the Spirits of Vengeance, a.k.a. what do we call them, the Midnight Buddies? Yeah, the Midnight Buddies.
You call them the Midnight Buddies, and I wanted to call them the Midnight Mateys, and you didn't like that.
Yeah, Midnight Mates sounds like they're hooking up. The Midnight Buddies began meeting, but not quite assembling. The heroes destined to defeat the Lillith Fair, while the Mother of Demons began gathering her Lilin. I see what you did there, the Lillith Fair.
Yeah, I do it a couple times this episode, and it's funny every time.
As you may recall, the Lilin included a teleporter with gross Nightcrawler hands and confusing fashion sense, an evil priest with a heart of gold and detachable body parts, a bug-eyed speed metal fan with magic mirror eyes, and a guy named Fang whose powers have nothing to do with teeth or knives or anything sharp at all for that matter. Also, not a werewolf. Morbius revealed his bondage fetish and started morbing even harder thanks to a Lilin-tainted serum that was supposed to kill him. The apocalypse might be coming, but the Spirits of Vengeance still made time to visit the Carney folk and kick the ass of revenge-seeking cyborg sister. Man, was she poorly dressed. We learned that Lillith only needs to kill any one of the Midnight Suns to thwart the prophecy of her defeat and assure victory, so you would think they would have stuck around to see if that poison worked on Morbius, but they're busy. I get it. Next stop, Manhattan, to meet the Darkhold Redeemers, which, are we really redeeming the Darkhold? Is that the plan?
No. In fact, their mission is to just nip it in the bud.
Right?
Yeah, and we'll get into that, I guess.
Like, you're not going to sit down and have a convo with the Darkhold and it's going to be like, you know what? You guys are right. I've been a real bastard. Come on.
It was my distinct honor to be in charge of the recaps this episode, so, buckle up. And I guess it's only fitting considering all of this was my idea in the first place.
True. You forced this on us.
Yeah, I did.
Well, Blood Hunt forced this on us. We wanted to learn where the Midnight Suns came from.
Yeah. Our next chapter is labeled Part 4. It is Darkhold, pages from the Book of Sins, number 1, which, you know what? Props. Great title.
Yeah, that's not bad. It sounds creepy.
It's a great title. this is obviously all these books are from Marvel, but we're probably going to say Marvel every time out of habit.
Sure.
This came out in October 1992. Cover price was $275. Near mint value on this bad boy, $15.
Get out of here. Get
comicbookrealm.com.
It's got to be one of those things where it's like relatively scarce because people didn't order it or something, right?
Maybe. I guess. I don't know. I mean, it was part of a major event. So who knows?
Well, yeah.
I mean, on paper, it was part of a major event. We can agree on that,
paper,
right?
On paper, yes.
CGC 9.8, $55. Yeah, so nobody's getting crazy out there on this one. It's probably the least valuable CGC one of these we've talked about so far. This is written by Christian Cooper. You remember him, right?
Oh, sure. Christian.
Legendary.
My boy, Christian. I'm always talking about
legendary comic writer Christian Cooper. Pencils are by Vertigo veteran Richard Case. Inks are by Mark McKenna. Colors are by Glynis Oliver. Fun fact about Glynis Oliver. I am currently listening to the first episode of Swords and Scrolls, guest starring Matt Baum. And you guys are talking about Thongor and the colorist Glynis Wein. And you asked, oh, I wonder if she's related to Len Wein. And Toots is like, yeah, she married Len Wein. Well,
that was Glynis Oliver.
I guess it didn't work out.
Oh, this is post. Oh, okay. Well, you know.
I mean, well, yeah, because Thongor came out in the 70s.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Letters are by Phil Fields. To be fair, we don't actually know the reality of the Glynis-Len relationship. They might be brother and sister for all we know. Who cares?
Do you know for sure it's Glynis Oliver, though, and not a different Glynis?
Glynis Oliver is Glynis Wein. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I do know that for sure.
Just want to fact check.
Do you know of another female comic book colorist named Glynis?
We make jokes like this all the time. People being related for even dumber shit.
Yeah. No, I think that they were married. Maybe if Jason Sachs is listening, he'll correct us, but I don't care enough to ask.
You know what? Len, let us know. Len, we know you're an average.
Yeah, Len is
listener.
Definitely.
Hit us up. We'd love to talk through your marriage.
Len Wein is dead. Matt Len Wein is dead.
Oh, shit.
That is in very poor taste.
We'll have to bust out the Ouija in the Sanctum Sanctorum and talk to him then.
In New York, a little person with an evil sneer delivers a black envelope to a businessman. Upon opening the envelope, a tremendous evil overwhelms the man, and he returns home, where he begins secreting worms. And then he murders his wife.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the worms thing for a second, because, like, yeah, I mean, you read there's something wormy going on, but they're also noodly, very noodly, and immediately after he
definitely not noodles, Matt. I mean, that's
now
demonic.
Hold, because the next page is our star of the book eating noodles with her friend, noodles that are drawn exactly like the worms that came out of our friend.
That's a fair point. Okay? It does look exactly the same.
They're giving us a visual cue, and
it's not the star, it's her friend.
And something will happen. No, her friend is eating, but the star of the book is here eating too. But something will happen in the end of the book that will very much reveal these are worms, no question. But until that point, up until that point, I'm kind of like, what's coming out of this, dude?
Is this dude?
What is like
spaghetti?
Evil snakes, or I don't know.
Well, I think that they actually spell it out in the script, because the recap I found refers to them by name as chameleon worms.
Okay, all right.
So anyway, meanwhile in Rome, Italy, Victoria Montesi, physician, is having lunch with her friend. And she is eating a plate of what appears to be chameleon worms, but we both know it's spaghetti.
Yeah, it's spaghetti. Because they're in Italy.
It's spaghetti.
Oh, it's a beautiful spaghetti.
After she returns home, there is an explosion that injures both women. When Vicky wakes up, she finds her father.
Hold on.
A priest.
Are we just going to skip over the guy that like points her out and is like, oh, that's a crazy Montesi girl. She's so nuts. And then she's like, you watch your mouth. And he's like, shut up, bitch. Just like hits her.
It's his coworker. It's her coworker. Yeah, and he's a real piece of work.
He is a violent guy. I mean, I guess it was Italy in the 90s. It was a different place. So.
I mean, I did gloss over it. Yeah, because it felt. It's not germane to the plot.
No, you're right.
You're right. Something they used to pad out pages in the book.
Yeah.
In fact, it's her supervisor at the hospital. Right. She works.
Like, that seems like it might be a problem with HR when they're like, yeah, I saw my supervisor this weekend while I was out with my friend, and he fucking hit me. You know?
The friend hit him. He did not hit her. He was going to, though.
He grabbed her
by the arm,
cranks his hand,
slap her. And then the friend cold cocks him.
Yeah.
His name is Fabio, and his shirt is unbuttoned down to his navel.
Well, of
and
course.
He's wearing a medallion.
Of course.
So
You know, we need to set.
we can't figure out what year this is taking place, apparently.
We're in Italy.
Sure.
This is exactly what it's like.
All right, fair. I've never been.
No.
All right. So anyway, explosion, kaboom. Nash, who is the friend, very 90s Vertigo name. They are both injured, and when Vicky awakens, she finds her dad, who is a priest. His name is Vittorio Montesi, at her bedside, along with Interpol agent Sam Buchanan. He is American. He is not Italian.
Right.
He's British. Interpol. He's British.
Yeah, he's probably British.
There's also, she has a dream of the dude with the worms, and they are clearly worms. They're not, it's not spaghetti.
Our friend Sam is also not wearing a shirt open to his belly button, so we can safely assume he's not Italian. I guess.
He's definitely not Italian. He's definitely not Italian. Yeah,
no medallions, no fuzzy chest. He's not hitting bitches. You know, he's not Italian. Come on.
Yeah. He's right. He's not an Italian stereotype. Father Vito tells the agent that the Montesi family has a generations long calling to safekeep the Book of Sins known as the Darkhold. If you're a Marvel fan, you've heard of it.
Sure.
Darkhold. It's a book.
Kind of seems like the kind of thing.
It's written on the pages made out of the skin of the demon Chthon or whatever the fuck.
It's their Necronomicon. It's their Necronomicon.
It's the Necronomicon of Marvel. Yes, correct.
Now,
correct.
You would think you're in charge of that. Joe Patrick, you're in charge of the Necronomicon of Marvel. It's bad news. Your family's into this, whatever, you know, kind of thing. Probably keep quiet. You might not just bust into hospital rooms with gentlemen you never met before and like, who are we? We're the Montesis. We protect the Darkhold. It's an ancient curse. And if anybody got their, hey, neither of you guys are demons, are you? Okay, good. It's an ancient curse. And they got their hands. I'm like, Dad, shut up.
Well, the doctor says she's got some head trauma, minor, but she's fine. And she says, fine, then get my dad out of here because he's going to spout some mumbo jumbo about special rules and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And how his mission allowed him, even though he's a priest, to marry my mom. It's just like, well, okay, well.
I mean, we should know the Montesis, when their mouth opens, everything comes out. So,
I mean, 90s comics are certainly very exposition.
But they're
heavy.
Also Italian. So, you know, they get very hot-blooded and want everyone to know the background. You know?
Yeah. Father Vito suspects that the attack against his daughter is related to the Darkhold. Yeah, no shit. He asks Buchanan to keep an eye on her. Vicky chooses not to tell her dad that she's been having weird worm visions.
Yeah, I mean, why would you? This is all bullshit.
Maybe mistake. I mean, the one guy in the room that knows what the fuck is happening.
It's all bullshit, Joe. Obviously, this is like straight up like Mulder and Scully just bumped into the worm man, you know, and Scully's like, I don't buy it. You know, like you just saw it. You know this is real. Like, come on. There's obviously evil shit afoot, you know.
But right, like everyone in this book for almost the entirety of it is like that. It's like, I don't buy this mystical crap.
Right. You know, and
however,
like, you live in the Marvel universe. Thor is around. You know, like there's something.
Sure.
You open your mind.
You've heard of Doctor Strange, right?
Right. You would think people would be a little less skeptical. You know,
the Baron Blood is from England.
Right.
Right.
Meanwhile, back in New York, we find out why this is a Spirits of Vengeance tie-in because Johnny Blaze is here meeting Professor Louise Hastings.
She's an occultist. She's apparently an old friend of Vicky's.
She kind of dresses like an aging Stevie Wonder. You're right.
She dresses a little like Stevie Wonder, but like she's
rounder Stevie Wonder. When you got older, a little heavier. You know?
She tells Johnny that he looks like that he hasn't bathed in a week, which is probably accurate.
Everybody keeps telling Johnny that. By the way, whenever Johnny shows up,
he's
people
unkempt.
Are like,
she says he's unkempt.
People are like, you look like shit every time he shows up. Well, and the thing I didn't get, like when she's walking out of wherever she was and Johnny Blaze walks up and he's like, pardon me, ma'am, but, and she goes, good God, another one. And he's like, I'm not a reporter.
Okay, she says, see here, chap, I can't talk to the press about the Walsh murder case.
But you thought
so she assumes that Johnny is a reporter that's been sticking out.
She took a look at Johnny Blaze. Yeah. My name's Johnny Blaze. When I read you were consulting on the Walsh case, I saw your photo in the papers. I knew I had to find you. And he's like, come into this dark alley with me. And she's like, yeah, all right. But I think this guy's crazy.
Right. It's got big, can we come into your apartment?
Right.
It concerns innocent blood.
Right. Like everybody in this is like, it's one thing if like the Ghost Rider shows up. Yeah, that's scary. But like Johnny Blaze, keep in mind, he's a big dude dressed like a biker walking around asking questions. People are just like, yeah, I trust you. Let's take me in the alley. What do we got there? Oh, Flaming Skull guy. Oh, shit.
All right. So she meets Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider talks about the visions and about Lilith. He's like, I'm not Zarathos, but whatever. You know, we think we might be able to find her other targets, but we wanted to talk to you because you're an occultist. You were in the vision and you're all in terrible danger.
We got to force this Darkhold thing into this crossover.
Meanwhile, now I've led you into a dark alley, introduced you to a demon who then threatened you.
Right. But
by saying you're in terrible danger.
But we're the good guys.
I promise it's all on the up and up. It's all on the up and up.
We're the good guys.
At some point later on, we don't know when, and I guess we're back in Italy?
It doesn't flash back. We just cut back to a nurse in a hospital, and we're supposed to know this is Italy. And we know it's Italy because ninjas show up.
Yeah, okay. So they're back in Italy because this is supposed to be Vicky's hospital room.
Right.
Darkhold cultists show up. They are ninjas. They look like the Hand.
Straight up
they're
ninjas.
Blue.
They got size. They've got ninja swords. They've got
no, I know that. I realize it. I agree.
Ninjas.
But they are cultists in the service of the Darkhold.
Sure.
Just like Hand and ninjas are cultists in the service of the Beast.
Yeah.
And you know that it's different than the Hand because they are blue and not red.
Yes, absolutely.
So this ninja shows up, kills the nurse, and then slaughters a pillow that Vicky stuffed bear. Sorry. That Vicky put under the blankets in her bed as though she were a 10-year-old sneaking out of the house.
Yeah.
She put a bunch of pillows underneath her blanket and said, I hope this fools the nurses. Yeah. And so she got this nurse killed. They were coming for her regardless.
She doesn't believe in any of this, Joe. There's no way she could have known that like Darkhold ninjas were going to show up. It's all bullshit.
She doesn't believe in guys with knives. Okay.
Well, she didn't think anyone was hunting her or care. She's not aware. She literally told her dad, you're full of shit. Get out of my room. I don't believe in any of this. So she doesn't think anyone is in any danger at this point. That's true. Than the dreams of Wormy Demon Guy. But that's probably completely unrelated, Joe. That could be anything.
And also, you know, a lifetime of her dad talking about this demonic book. And, you know, you'd think that she would have seen at least something.
What do parents know, Joe? Give me a break. Parents just don't understand. That's true. All right. So she is in a phone booth because it's the 90s. A telephono booth. She gets on the phone. She wants to call a friend to borrow some money. Because all of her credit cards were trashed in the explosion and she needs to get away. She needs to get out of there. And while she's in the phone booth, another ninja attacks. She immediately clonks him on the head with the phone. And then she says, I'm safe, as another ninja on a rooftop with a crossbow starts aiming at her. So worst ninjas ever, by the way. They can't take an unsuspecting woman that's on a phone. Good news. She's also being trailed by good-looking Buchanan, flat top guy, who just blows this ninja away, shoots him in the face. It's like, bam!
Well, I mean, he's an Interpol agent. Yeah. He's got a license to kill.
That's MI6, not Interpol.
Well, he's got a gun. He's got a license.
I'm not saying he doesn't. He doesn't have a license to kill, I don't think.
There are a bunch more cultists that show up. She's like, oh, it must be the Darkholders, this cult that I never really believed in.
Please call them ninjas. Please call them ninjas. They're even wearing sandals.
I understand that they're ninjas. They are ninjas. Yeah. But Sam says, it's the woman you want, right? I know when I'm beat. I know the odds. Take her. I'm not going to die trying. He pulls a second gun out of his coat and blows them all away.
See, which I love, because it's like you have two guns. I have an idea. Shoot at the ninjas with two guns and kill more ninjas. Or throw one on the ground and be like, no, take her. I don't want it. Just kidding. I got another gun. But like, you're an idiot, Buchanan. Get out of here.
It's true. The dialogue in this is rough. She calls one of the ninjas handkerchief head.
Yeah. I mean,
Sam has also apparently not loaded his gun because it's out of bullets after 3 shots.
I mean, maybe he's been shooting before this. I don't know. I mean, he was
sure. Yeah.
He just killed a guy on the roof. So who knows how many killed on the way here.
So finally, she tells Sam about the visions. They blew up my friend. They tried to kill me. We're going to New York.
Right.
Lillith has watched this entire thing in the shadows, and instead of sending any one of the very scary things that are standing there with her to kill them, she just chills and lets them go.
I think that's part of it for her, though. I think part of her power is, or maybe she just gets off and complaining about how badly this is going. And she turns and she goes, your men have failed again, to someone. I don't know.
No, we see them.
No.
She is.
We don't see them yet. They cut back and she's like, oh, this is pissing me off. That book can return Cathan's children from exile. Then we see who she's talking to. And it appears to be either people wearing masks or the silliest demons I've ever seen in my life, including one of which who is a pig with a construction helmet on.
He does look good. Yeah.
Like, who are these people?
Well, they are wearing masks. It says it right there.
Right.
And the guy with the red mask and the anteater snout is in charge. He says, my mask presides. So we know she's talking to these guys, and she knows they're the guys that are the Darkholders.
Right.
And they want the book. They want to kill the Montesies.
They're Death Eaters.
Sure. Right.
Right. They work for
And
Cathan.
the ninjas are theirs.
Right. The ninjas
and
work
Lillith
for them.
is pissed because you sent like 5 ninjas after this bitch, and she beat you with a phone and a gun with only 3 bullets in it.
Right. So now we get Doc to cut up the dark.
And a teddy bear.
Yeah. We get Doc to cut up the Death Eaters and turn them into something even more powerful. Before this, we thought maybe Lilith's power is to give people powers, right? To like make them more powerful. But she's like,
well,
hey,
okay. Point of order. So we are introduced in this scene to a new Lilith named Doc, and his whole deal is like, I'm going to use my very scary knives and take you apart and rebuild you as something more horrifying.
That's where I'm going with this. Like, has Doc been doing this the whole time? We just met him. I don't know.
No. But I think that Lilith has the ability to empower people. Like she gave Blackout super strength.
For sure. There's just no, like, I don't believe any of these creators knew what she could actually do.
So Doc goes to work on these ninjas to turn them into scarier, faster, stronger monsters. And they're going to go after the Montesies, or at least just this one Montesi. I guess nobody's concerned about the priest.
Nobody cares about Dad at all. Yeah. And by the way,
they only want the daughter.
Where is the Darkhold?
So they say earlier in the issue, the Father Vito says that an American.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's how we get.
And I'm guessing that is Dr. Strange.
This is how we get to New York. Yes.
The problem is that several pages of the Darkhold are missing.
Right.
And it's bad news if they get into the wrong hands. And so that's kind of the plot of the series is the Darkhold Redeemers have to stop this dwarf with the black envelopes from giving people pages of the Darkhold,
which is also completely unrelated from what the Spirit of Vengeance are doing and where the Darkhold book will go on its own, similar to what was happening in Morbius. There's something else going on. I mean,
they are setting up the ongoing plot.
Right.
The mission statement of the Darkhold book is find and stop.
Yes.
The lost pages of the Darkhold before bad things.
What I'm saying is just like Morbius, this is only tangentially related to what happens to also be happening.
I mean, they've got to juggle multiple plates.
So Worm Guy
do 2 things.
Because I thought maybe this guy's one of Lilith's demons. Nope. Totally unrelated. Don't worry about it.
They're only after the daughter because the daughter was in the prophecy.
Right.
The daughter was in the vision.
She just saw her face and was like, I got to kill her. Got it.
Right, they know because they know.
Yeah.
Like if they kill anyone, as we've found out.
Right.
So if they kill any single member of the people in the vision, the whole plan fails.
So the daughter and Buchanan off to Long Island, and Buchanan's like, "Let's do it. I'm in. Down
to Long Island.
Let's go to another country where I absolutely don't have any jurisdiction whatsoever, and I'm not going to ask the U.S. government if Interpol can, do this on their soil. I'm just with you. Let's go. I already killed somebody. I don't have time for that paperwork. I'm on a plane to Long Island."
So they go to Business Worm's mansion, and they find the black envelope, and that's when Louise shows up, and Louise is like, "Drop that thing. Are you crazy?" And Buchanan pulls a gun on her, She calls him a bloody cowboy, which I guess, I don't know. Is she British?
I think she called somebody daft and she calls him a bloody cowboy. So I think we're signaling that she is British.
Which is fine. It's neither here nor there. It's just,
she's not, but it's not like in your face British. She just says little things once in a while.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So they've got the note, and of course it's got the creepy writing on it and stuff.
Right. They've got the envelope,
right.
the black envelope that held the page. Louise is freaked out. She's like, "Don't touch that. It's bad."
Right.
And we are reminded that Louise and Vicky are friends. Another mark in the "what the fuck" Vicky column is she knows that Louise is a famous occultist. And she still says all of this crap is mumbo jumbo. Business worm attacks. He drops down from the ceiling. He is consumed by these worms now at this point.
Okay, but let's also and we're going to talk about the art, but like, look at the art. This is not signaling worms to me. This is signaling.
We've already established it
shitloads of tentacles or something. I don't know.
I mean, they're very thin, wiry strands
and bright red.
Like in the close-ups, they look like worms because they're segmented.
I guess. And he wants to put them in your mouth. He wants to put these. Well, maybe any hole he can get them in.
Well, I think that's
yeah.
He drops a bunch on Buchanan. Somehow Buchanan does not get a bunch in his mouth. Ghost Rider and Blaze show up finally to do anything at all useful.
I mean, like, they went with Louise. Well, I'll buy that. But like, she got in first. She's like, "I'm going to go in quietly. You guys hear anything?
They were scouting the perimeter.
I want you to drive your motorcycles through the picture window." I guess. I don't know.
It's going to look so fucking cool, you guys.
Right.
Ghost Rider tries his chain out on the guy. Blaze shoots him with his Hellfire shotgun, which he take a drink every time he references his Hellfire shotgun by name.
Yeah. Let's see what my Hellfire shotgun will do.
No dice. The guy's made out of worms. What do you expect?
Yeah.
They managed to collect several of the worms together in a jar. Business worm gets away. He says, "Ciao."
Yeah, well, part of him goes down a drain. They get a handful into the jar, basically.
Right. He puts himself down the drain, and they grab a bunch of worms. They put him in a jar, and he starts to reform inside the jar. So he looks like one of the jarred heads from Futurama.
Yeah, kind of. And like, at this point, we were discussing the art, and you were like, "Matt, this guy is great. This guy worked on Doom Patrol," and I said, "I am not debating that he did some good stuff on Doom Patrol." Joe Patrick, this art is not good. It is bad. Okay.
I think that it's got flashes where it is good, and most of it is not.
The faces are so weird. And I'm not just talking about the face in the jar. I get how the face in the jar should look kind of weird. Sure. But the panel before that, Johnny Blaze's face, he's looking at it and he's like, it's just bizarre.
Yeah, it's yeah.
All right.
I mean, look,
I'm not going to bag on it too much. It just, I mean, I don't know.
Look,
it's not working.
We've said our piece. The art's not great.
It's not great.
We hear the origin of Business Worm. We see what really happened when he opened the envelope and read the page of the Darkhold.
Well, Business Worm just tells him. He's like, "Wait, I'll tell you everything."
Well, yeah, he's trapped in a jar.
Sure.
And this demon or whatever offered him immortality. He said, "Hell yes." Not knowing I'd spend eternity as a rotting pile of worms passing for a human.
Yeah, and he tells him, "Believe me, I can't be killed. Together, the worms are invulnerable. Separately, you'll have to kill each one." Now, that's a clue. It's something that's going to happen later.
Well, sure. It's like any video game boss will tell you.
Right.
His weakness.
You got to shoot the glowing red dot on my...
If this were a game of Contra, we would know exactly what to do.
Yeah, or a Star Wars prequel, we'd know exactly what to do.
Yeah. So Lilith, of course, is watching this in the eyeballs again, and she calls them chameleon worms. So here they are. They are named chameleon.
So at this point, the professor puts a page from the most dangerous book in existence into her purse and goes for a walk in the park in what looks like the dead of night.
Well, it's dawn. It's dawn.
Okay, well, regardless, doesn't matter, dude.
But again, this is an artist this is a colorist, let's say.
Yeah.
Who didn't get the memo that maybe it shouldn't look like it's nighttime.
There's a lot of this. Every panel. Yeah, there's a lot of this confusion.
But I mean, to be fair, a couple of the panels where you see the sky, it's kind of a light purple. So.
Fair, whatever. All I'm saying is
dawn. Okay,
you don't take a page from the most dangerous book in the world, put it in your purse, and go for a walk by yourself. Period.
Right.
End of line.
Yes. Right. Yeah. No,
I wouldn't walk around like
100%.
that with a large amount of money on my person, let alone a page from the fucking Darkhold. Okay.
So I guess the guy gets out of the jar. Business Worm gets out of the jar, and he starts reforming towards Vicky. And Ghost Rider yanks her out of there, and they run for the park. They've hatched a plan.
He does seem to get out of the jar off panel, doesn't he? They don't show it. It just all of a sudden
he does it off panel. Yeah.
There's worms everywhere, and they're like, and he's like, haha, it's me, Business Worm. And again,
we don't know what happened. For all we know, some of the worms that went down the drain came back out of the drain and unscrewed the jar lid.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But the professor tells him beat feet to the park because she's got a plan.
Buchanan says, going for a stroll, but what's she really up to? And then you see Louise in the park, walking. The ninjas are watching her from the bushes, very much like Ninja Hedge from The Tick.
Yeah, not hiding at all.
Yeah. And then she says, got it, and starts rushing back to the hotel to put the plan into motion.
She knows what she's doing.
She either saw the ninjas and was like, I need them to know where I'm at, and then I need them to follow me wherever I go. Or she is completely oblivious to the ninjas, and she just finally came up with a plan and ran back to the hotel to find Business Worm oozing out of every.
I think it's the former because I think
the apartment.
I think it's the former because of how they dispose of Business Worm later. I think she came up with a plan. We need to get them to the.
So it's the latter. She came up with a plan.
Probably the latter. Yes.
Irregardless of the presence of the ninjas.
Yes.
Okay. They start to run for the park. They say, Blaze, Buchanan, no gunfire. We don't want to explode those worms any further than they're already.
Okay, I'll buy that. Maybe the gunfire like throws worms all over the place. We need them all in one place.
Well, yeah, it's like you don't want to throw a grenade into into something you're trying to like collect.
Sure, sure.
They run back to the park, and that's when Lillith shows up with the Lilin and the ninjas. Buchanan pulls a gun on the Lilin, and then Louise says, "No, Sam." And the way she gets him to stop is by pointing a gun at the back of his skull.
Yeah, saying like, "No gunfire," and I don't have time to tell you.
She doesn't just say, "No, Sam, this is part of the plan."
Right. Nope.
She pulls a fucking gun out.
And she says, "I don't have time to tell you like that, but this is part of the plan. All right. This is when you could be telling him exactly what, so
right. This is where
she's British. She's cagey. Come on.
This is where we learn that the Darkhold ninjas have been amped up into super ninja monsters by Doc. And they are throwing blades. They are attacking Johnny and Ghost Rider. Their most powerful attacks are having no effect on the evil ninjas. Business Worm is here. He is split into two because he thinks double the fun. But then we see Louise's plan in action. She has conducted some sort of ritual and summoned a flock of crows, and the crows eat up every last worm.
All of them. Every single one.
Every worm.
All of them.
Well,
I mean, sure. Of course not. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So the flock of birds eats Business Worm. He can't reconstitute himself. Blaze shoots Lillith with a hellfire blast.
Of course he does.
Mad.
Of course he does.
Well, I mean, that's
all he's got. That's all he's got is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Lillith's like, fuck these Darkholders. You'll all pay with me. You'll all pay. Not just with your lives, but with your very souls.
Yeah, we dealt with the ninjas off panel too. Basically, we did a thing with Ghost Rider's chain, and they were all like, we're out here. This sucks.
Oh yeah, he does that thing where he can explode his chain into 1,000 links, which I've always thought was
cool. Do that first. That's all I'm saying.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So Lillith and her kids teleport away, but Nakota gets left behind. Bad business, bro.
Okay, I get it. If you're sick of blackout shit, because he kind of sucks at his job. And the priest that takes himself apart, well, he's an asshole that kind of wants to do his own thing. Nakota's the only one that you can watch TV through her friggin' eyes and see what's going on. She seems to be the most important Lilin there is. And you're like, screw this, I'm out of here. Screw you, Nakota.
I mean, I think we'll kind of figure out why they did that.
I mean, I guess, but
they did that later. The Darkhold Redeemers team up with the Spirits of Vengeance and the Midnight Buddies ranks have now grown by 3. We see that there is a single piece of business worm. They haven't noticed me. I'm free. And then he gets squished by Modred the Mystic. We don't know who that is yet, but trust me, that's who that is.
Yeah, well, we got to set up something for this goddamn series.
I mean, stay tuned to Darkhold number 2 and up, I guess. Who knows? Elsewhere, the dwarf approaches a new victim and delivers another black envelope to him. So, I mean, look, the story, the plot of the Darkhold book is great. I love the premise. The execution of this issue is
bad.
Not good.
It's bad. This is a bad first issue for a series that I would not read any more of. Okay. That's where I'm at.
Now,
don't care.
Is it worse than Morbius number 1, though? Because we were kind of forgiving to Morbius.
I think it's okay. We were. And Morbius, I think, had a little more personality. And the name of the main character is in the title, not some book, and there was no BS about it. Something happens to the character, fundamentally changes him, gives him a new direction. Go. Right? This is just like the main character is basically a dwarf with pages from an evil book that we're chasing. And the main character, whose dad has been telling her this all her life and just met a flaming skull man and all these other people, still barely believes it. I don't think it's that cool. And I don't think the art's very good. And I don't think it's well defined as to what's happening.
A mysterious character is delivering pages from a demonic book to hapless souls.
Fair enough. I'm saying Morbius made it 36 damn issues. Darkhold makes it 16. So you be the judge.
This is a skim it for me. Like, none of this was so bad that I was like, ugh.
All right, I'll give it a skim it. I'll give it a low skim it. But that's
like, I wasn't mad I read it or anything.
That's
but it's
as much as I'm giving it.
It's probably my least favorite chapter of the whole affair. Next up, we are labeling this Part 4A. As we promised in our last Midnight Suns episode, this is Spirits of Vengeance number 3. This is from October 1992, written by Howard Mackey, pencils by Adam Kubert, inks by Chris Warner, colors by Gregory Wright, letters by Janice Chang. Its cover price was $1.75. Current value, $4. Ain't worth shit.
No.
CGC 9.8, $75. Still worth more than the Darkhold.
But that's a crazy person that just like bought it or something. I don't know.
Sure. Well, but I mean, for the Darkhold book, I think the Darkhold book must be more scarce.
It's got to be
$12.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be something where they're like, too many of them got sent back or pulped or whatever, and it's hard to find now or something.
The cover of this comic is amazing.
It's great. It's Adam Kubert.
Legitimately rules. It's awesome.
Yeah. You got Ghost Rider with his ass kicked, Johnny Blaze over a dude's shoulder, a big shirtless guy. It's like walking off with him, like no problem.
With like weird kind of protrusions coming out of his arms.
The cover also says another of Lilith's offspring kills for mommy dearest. This should absolutely 100% be part of this event.
You know what? Listen to part 1 for all of our feelings about the way they handled this. But yes, so that's why we're covering it. It is not labeled as an official chapter. So Lilith and Pilgrim have found another one of her lost children. His name is Skinner. He's married. He's got a kid, but she demands that he fulfill his family obligations. He is compelled to obey. He kills his family. He shaves most of his head.
Yeah.
He puts on all of his best pouches, even though he does not need anything from those pouches.
It doesn't seem like it. 1, he's a demon. 2, his powers come from inside of him.
He doesn't carry guns.
And then he takes his shirt off
gadgets.
too. Like,
why does he have pouches?
I don't know.
A mystery.
He's also depicted as like 8 feet tall. This guy's huge.
I mean, he's very big.
Yeah.
He's a very imposing, big, scary man.
Yeah.
And like this scene is pretty great. I like, they knock on the door and the wife asks, who is it? And he says, it's nobody, honey. It's just somebody from the power company. And he's got Pilgrim by the neck. He puts his entire hand around Pilgrim's neck and is able to close his entire fist.
No problem. This guy's huge. Yeah.
Which means he either almost popped Pilgrim's head off or his hands are just that big.
Right. And at this point, Pilgrim definitely depicted as African-American man. He is black. No question.
He's
before
blackish.
The colorist wasn't doing us any favors. So.
Well, I mean, his ethnicity is
It's still
undetermined,
in question,
he's
but
definitely not white.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he looks more gray.
I don't
but
know.
he's got dreadlocks.
But he has the
I
dreadlocks.
don't know.
So they're signaling African American.
They're signaling a lot of different
Perhaps
things.
Jamaican.
I couldn't really tell you.
Mom was Haitian.
Which signal's the strongest?
Dad was a Sioux Indian. I don't know.
So they're on the hunt for Johnny Blaze. Ghost Rider is still looking for Nakota, who, as we remember from last chapter, is on the run because she got left behind.
Yeah, just ran away.
Need I remind you, he is on a magic motorcycle. I'm not sure why he's having trouble keeping up.
Well, she escaped off panel, so nobody knows where she went, Joe. Even the Midnight Buddies.
Sure, I guess.
They didn't see it.
Right.
The artist forgot to draw it, so they don't know.
Johnny goes to a roadside diner, which is where Skinner catches up to him. He busts through the window. Again, these guys in their windows, they've never made a window they don't want to smash.
That's why they split up, because Johnny was hungry. I'm going to go. I can't go until I get something to eat.
He wants a hamburger.
You think the end of the world will wait long enough? That long? Sure, Johnny. Just shut up.
Skinner is all about the hunt, and he wants to give Johnny a head start. He makes a very weird kind of sexual biting of the lower lip face.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I think it's just this kind of shit turns him on. I don't know.
Yeah. He wants Johnny's skin is the main deal. That's his name. His name is Skinner. He's got knives for bones.
Yep.
Or bones for knives. However you want to call it. So, but he says, Johnny, you can have a head start, but you can't get on that magic bike. That ain't fair. So he tells Johnny to run. And then Skinner kills a cat for no reason whatsoever.
Because he's a bad guy, Joe. And we know it's cat because the cat...
we already know he's a bad guy because he killed his entire damn family.
The cat is in the garbage eating fish from the diner. Where they obviously butcher an entire whole fish. Whatever. Yeah. Is what it is.
So Johnny steals another dude's motorcycle. Loophole. Good on you, Johnny. You figured it out. He drives her a bit. He blows up the motorcycle because he wants to create a signal fire to lure Skinner to his location.
And this is after he had the thought, I hated blindsiding that guy, but I had no time to negotiate. And there's no way I use this gun on a human being. Can't stop talking about his gun. But he says, I'll gas it up and bring it back to him. Then he immediately blows up the bike.
Right. He wants to put some distance between him and the town. Very responsible.
Yeah.
He goes up to the mountains to get the high ground. He lights the motorcycle. He blows up the motorcycle to lead Skinner to his location and presumably as a marker for Ghost Rider. Be like, yo, this is where I'm at. Come find me.
I don't think so, because Ghost Rider's chasing Nakota, like in town.
Ghost Rider is in Millbrook, New York, all of a sudden. I'm not sure where Blaze ended up, but it's not Millbrook, New York.
It's like right outside of town. I think
it's some roadside diner.
Yeah, right outside of Millbrook, I'm guessing. Because like Nakota's on foot, so she's not like crossing state lines or all that. She's just running around.
Well, I know. I wondered if maybe Pilgrim was secretly teleporting her. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think so, because she's running and he shows up. And he's like, hurry, little Nakota. Mother has need of you in Boston. So like he literally just showed up like, quit screwing around. Let's go.
Ghost Rider then is going to reunite with Johnny. So during this confrontation with Skinner shows up to fight Johnny. During the confrontation, we find out that the Lillin have no choice but to obey, which kind of supports what I said last time about Creed.
I mean, we knew that.
Like Creed wanted to protect Johnny. They was like, all we need to do is kill this demon. Johnny, go be with your family.
Right.
Like, it's going to be fine.
Right.
Skinner also reveals that he killed his family because he knew that Lillith would use them because they are descended from her bloodline.
Yeah. Yeah. But
he wears... His skin is made of the skin of his victims, including his kids.
Which doesn't make any sense because it doesn't look like it. He didn't look like that before. Like,
well,
whatever.
I think he kind of like absorbs it. He absorbs it or something.
Maybe
something
off
happens.
panel. Again, we don't see it. Doesn't matter.
Off
don't
panel,
worry.
yes. But I mean, like underneath his skin, he looks like Doomsday turned inside out. So I don't know what to tell you.
But we don't learn that until Johnny shoots him with his Hellfire shotgun, his only power, blows all his skin off. I mean, we start to see like he's getting mad when he's coming out.
He whips his boners out.
Yeah.
He whips his boners
ribs
out.
are bone. There's bones coming out of his cheeks and stuff, like knives all over the place. But he gets shot with the Hellfire shotgun. catches on fire, we see his true form, which is just this like impossible to fit inside of his skin group of sharp bones and knives all over the damn place.
Look, it's magic. It's
I
magic.
guess, but he looks like
I don't care. It's magic.
okay, but he looks like an orangutan skeleton. It's ridiculous.
He is a demon. Like he's a very scary looking bone creature.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
And yeah, every time he kills, I mean, like read between the lines, he kills somebody and he absorbs their skin and it becomes his flesh. Yada yada.
He's just a kind of hunter.
The thing about the kids really pisses Johnny off.
Right.
And he blasts Skinner to ashes, according to Ghost Rider, who has finally showed up to do anything useful whatsoever.
Yes, Skinner's never run into with a Hellfire shotgun. So when Johnny just casually stands in front of him and shoots him 5 times, like Indiana Jones casually shooting a swordsman in town square, it's all.
I mean, it's a powerful shotgun.
Thanks for playing, Skinner.
We got a twist here, though. Apparently, Ghost Rider doesn't know what ashes look like.
No,
because a very alive Skinner crawls out of the fire, vowing revenge.
Well, but this very much stays as our theme of no one ever checking to see if anyone is actually dead. Good guys and bad guys.
Yeah, right.
That is our running theme. Do not check and make sure anyone is dead.
Yeah. You have a note here that Skinner dresses like a dreadnought, which I think is very accurate.
He kind of does. Yeah.
This is a buy it for me. I thought this was a good chapter.
Oh yeah,
good chapter,
and we're back on the Spirits of Vengeance book, which we've established is good. It's good.
3 for 3 on Spirits of Vengeance.
Adam
this
Kubert's
book is
art is good. As dumb as Skinner is, he looks pretty rad because Kubert's good at this.
Yeah.
There's something about the character. Maybe if they had a couple issues to flesh it out, they could sell it better. But he does like instantly kill his family and then be like, "Oh, I had to kill him. They were going to use him against me." And you're like, "Do you know that?" Like, but regardless, he didn't have time for his emotional journey. They had to rush it. I get it.
Did he really need to kill his family? Would Lilith have turned his children against him because they are descended from her bloodline?
Well, yes, because he tells us that.
That's don't know that.
Yeah.
But we don't know that that's how things would have gone.
Right. We just have to trust
so you
her.
can say, oh, so this man made a choice. He made a choice to kill his family. It's almost like when Lilith showed up, a switch flipped, and he was given permission to do what he's wanted to do all along.
Maybe.
Murder his family and absorb their bodies.
My point is we don't have enough time to go on his emotional journey that they crush it.
Well, you're right. But I still felt like this guy's deluded. You know, like I came to my own conclusion.
Yeah, maybe he hates.
So yeah,
maybe he hates his wife. Maybe that kid's a pain in the ass. You know. Like,
no. I really think it's. Oh, I better kill him. Oh, should I kill him? I better kill him because if I don't kill him, they'll turn into Lillith, and nobody wants that. Like I think that secretly, he was into it.
I think he was secretly unhappy and he was sick of it and wanted to get back to his life of popping bones out of him and murdering cats and shit like that, you know? And this was just a good excuse,
murdering
Joe.
Cats. Yeah,
he's an addict, Joe. This was his excuse to fall off the wagon. So there you go.
I get it. Boy, oh boy. The end is in sight, Matt. It's Rise of the Midnight Suns, Chapter 5,
Jesus.
Nightstalkers, number 1. It's a goofy looking cover. The coloring is very bad on this cover.
Are back to some pretty goofy art in this one. And this is...
I like the art. We'll talk about it, but I like the art.
This is drawn by someone we both like. The coloring on this
I think the coloring is not great.
No.
All right. So this is written, this is from November 1992. So we're all still very much in the fall of 1992. This is written by D.G. Chichester, who you may recognize from a very long and celebrated run on Daredevil. Pencils are by a young Ron Garney. Inks and colors are by the legend Tom Palmer. This is the first time I've ever seen Tom Palmer credited for colors.
Maybe that's why the cover looks so weird. I don't know.
Maybe. Letters are by John Costanza. This is $16 in near mint. And CGC 9.8, $70.
It's just, okay. I guess.
You're the one that wanted to do the value.
No. I'm not saying I'm just saying it kind of blows my mind that it went for $70 fucking dollars. That's what I'm shaking my head at.
I get it.
You know,
the book opens with the Midnight Buddies catching up to Nakota, who looks totally different.
Yeah. Garney didn't get, but again, we talked about how several artists are drawing things very differently. That's but
also the coloring, like she's like Pilgrim,
she's definitely
she also is coded to be.
Yeah, she's white as hell here.
but she is definitely a white girl in this.
At different points, we thought she may be Asian. We thought she may be Native American, and she looked
black, Latina,
questionably, black at one point too. So here looks like a white girl with a nose piercing and a chain attached to the nose piercing, which is a great idea. If you've ever had your nose,
she always had the chain.
Put a chain on there so you can snag it on something and it gets ripped out. Good idea.
So the guys have caught up to her. And he gives her the penance stare. And when he gives her the penance stare, he has another vision of 3 more men who may be potential allies. So 3 men in the city of Boston: Frank Drake, Hannibal King, and Blade. All of these are existing characters, though you may have only heard of one. Hannibal King and Frank Drake. Frank Drake especially is from the pages of Tomb of Dracula.
Yeah.
Where I believe Hannibal King is also from. But Hannibal King also popped up in Doctor Strange in the 80s.
And both Frank and Hannibal dressed like they were frozen in medieval times and just woken up.
Dressed like a dandy, and I don't know why, for the life of me.
No
He's
idea.
Got this, like, what do you call that, a cravat?
Yes, like a time traveler. Like he was shunted into the future, and his only power seems to be knowing a woman that works at MIT that can build laser guns that kill supernatural stuff, including Ghost Rider, who they do not trust.
Sure. And Morbius, right?
Yeah.
So these guys were a team, not like a team, but these guys worked together in the past. They were vampire hunters together. And they have not been seen in many, many years at the point that this story takes place. So we're in Boston now, and Frank Drake is taking his wife to the aquarium. While they're looking at the whale tank, Frank has a vision of Lilith punching her way out of the whale's butt.
And I gotta say, this version of Lilith punching out of the whale's butt, not much better than the last one we saw. I like Ron Garney. Ron Garney's a great artist. This is not a good spread. And I do not know what is happening with Lilith's boobs here. But they look like they are about to have their own party without her. They're like, wow!
I mean, yeah, it's boobs akimbo. Frank's wife, Marlene, who is not the same person as Morbius's friend Martine.
Yeah, like, guys. Martine.
She goes catatonic, and she gets whisked away by somebody, I guess, paramedics.
Yeah, security, cops, whatever. They're like, we're here to help, sir. It's gonna be okay, and they just take her away.
Doctor Strange is watching this unfold because he's kind of in and out of this whole crossover, doing shady things behind the scene.
I think they're hinting that Doctor Strange maybe made dude see this to like gently push him to where he needs to go, right?
We will find out Doctor Strange's involvement very quickly. It is specifically stated that things that happen at the aquarium are definitely Doctor Strange's fault.
Okay, yes.
So, but he does say something about recognizing the influence of Lilith on the events. We cut to a mental hospital where Doctor Strange arranges to have Blade released. Blade has been in a mental hospital because the dude is obsessed with fighting vampires. There's a bit of history that comes up in this comic, and I'm just going to tell you about it now because it's germane to what Blade is going through. In the 80s, there was a Doctor Strange storyline.
He does like a Scarlet Witch, no more mutants, but it's like no more vampires, no more Draculas type thing, right?
Something called the Montesi formula. And if that name sounds familiar, it's the same Montesi from the Darkhold book. It's the same family.
Of course.
So the Montesi formula, when triggered by Doctor Strange, immediately destroyed all vampires on Earth. Except for Hannibal King, because Hannibal King is the one vampire that refused to succumb to his hunger.
Morbius.
But
he survived too.
But Morbius is not a real vampire.
Oh,
established
right.
that.
Living vampire.
He is a creature of science who has vampiric characteristics, but he is not a supernatural vampire.
Blade, only half vampire on his father's side, so doesn't count.
Only half vampire.
Just like being Jewish.
So Blade is in the mental hospital because he keeps ranting about vampires, and the doctors are like, the Marvel universe at large, first of all,
they probably don't know.
They don't know shit about vampires.
They don't think vampires exist.
They already don't believe in vampires,
right.
And now vampires are literally destroyed. So Blade's behavior is questionable. And so he's been in treatment, let's say. We are miles away from the Wesley Snipes interpretation of Blade.
Yeah. This is
like this Blade. This is not the super slick, super cool, ultra capable. This Blade is.
He's a half vampire dude that went crazy. And he had an afro. He was wearing a vest, goggles. He looked ridiculous. He had no costume at all. And then we get that scene of like dude getting out of prison where they're giving him his stuff back. And he's like, where's my goggles and my vest and my cool wooden stakes? Well, we had to get rid of his old costume and all that bullshit, right? This is your new Blade.
I mean, he dressed like Shaft, you know.
We got to get
like Shaft with a sword, with a wooden sword in the 70s.
We got to get him dressed. And we don't have there's no local BDSM store that he can go to like Morbius.
You don't think there's a bondage store in Boston?
Apparently not. You got to go to New York for that. That's where Morbius got his.
Right. Well, I mean, Blade probably owns black leather already, but
I'm sure.
He does find in his possessions is a business card for his old kind of the group he had with his cronies, Borderline Investigative Services, which is the agency they had when they were vampire hunters together.
Kind of makes it sound like sometimes they're in a really good mood and other times they just come at you. Like,
borderline.
Yeah.
We get a little bit now of Hannibal King's story where he's been doing really well, but lately the bloodlust has been rising, and he witnessed an accident where a woman was killed in a car accident and her blood was everywhere.
A woman he was ogling, by the way. She's drawn super chesty and she's in tight pants and he's like, I was just admiring the local scenery. Settle down, dude.
I mean, you know.
And then she gets murdered. She gets mowed down by a car.
Hit and run accident. Yeah, she's dead. And yeah, so he sees this pool of blood, and normally, you know, Hannibal King is a guy who's got his shit under control. But in that moment, he's like, I wanted it. I wanted it staining my teeth, filling my belly. I wanted to be down on my knees, lips on the roadside, sucking on that tar to leach out every drop of that warm red. We're
back to our addict story. This is our addict theme.
Sure, yeah. Know? I mean, he's got it bad.
But we also already had that emotional payoff with Morbius, who was like a monster. And Hannibal King just kind of dresses like he's at the Ren Fair. So it doesn't pay off.
We see that he's been telling all this to a doctor who is clearly fucking Dr. Strange.
Yeah, the Montesi formula jacked him up.
Yeah, Strange is like, sorry about that. No, there's nothing I can do for you. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Also, I'm a surgeon. I'm not even that kind of doctor. So, you know.
I'm not a physician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me grab my surgeon's stethoscope and I'm out of here.
So here's something that's kind of interesting. Dr. Strange says the Montesi formula has been forcibly relaxed, which is allowing vampires back into the world. Hannibal King is no longer undead due to Dr. Strange's magic. He's also not technically alive. And now that the Montesi formula is no longer working, your cells are feeling the call of that vampire nature. Can't do anything about it. And then he just fucking leaves.
Well, yeah.
He teleports away, leaving Hannibal King in the dust.
Again, like he's pulling the strings from the background, Joe. He cannot interfere.
Right. And you know what? We will actually get into that.
Yeah.
We meet another member of the Lillith. This one's named Meat Market.
He has a glowing crotch.
He looks like a zombie. It's his rib cage, you pervert.
No, it's not, Joe. They made a decision that like, okay, this guy obviously doesn't wear pants, so we got to color this somehow. So you can see his chest, his abs, and then where his crotch is, there is a glowing light.
The glow is above his crotch. I'm looking at it right now.
I am too, and it is crotch level.
The glow emanates from his stomach, which then obviously goes down and covers his crotch. But yeah, he looks like a zombie with whatever.
With grabby ribs. He's got grabby ribs that can grab you if they need.
He's got grabby ribs. Yeah. That's exactly right. I thought this was a pretty graphic scene for a comics code.
They murder some motorcycle punk that's just
like you see
around.
This guy hanging dead by a hangman's noose.
Oh, this is a Justin quote, just gonna mess you up. Hoyt That's who's running through the. He's been in the Boston Commons causing problems. He just runs around at night. But this time, he is the hunted by Meat Market, who instead of just like ripping him to pieces or like putting him in his body or making, because I think that's kind of what Meat Market does. Like he's like, I tear off body parts and make them my own. He's like, let's hang this guy.
Yeah, the hanging is completely off brand.
Yeah, it just hangs him.
So Lillith shows up and he's like, hey, Mom, great to see you.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. For some reason, at this point, she's got Pilgrim on a leash, a chain leash, and I don't know why.
Yeah, this is the first we've seen of this.
He doesn't really need any compulsion. Meat Market shows Lillith this parchment of skin that he sewed together. The skin shows the members of the 9 characters from the prophecy, the Darkhold Dreamers, the Nightstalkers, and the Spirits of Vengeance. Oh, and Morbius. And she's like, yeah, I already know all that. Thanks.
Yeah, great job.
Thanks for nothing.
Thanks for the skin facts. I already knew this.
Right.
You know, like
Lillith says, I'm going to try to get my enemies to fight one another. And so she shows up dressed in the most ridiculous femme fatale outfit.
Well, hold on. First,
and goes to Borderline Investigations.
Yeah, okay. Borderline
where
Investigations.
The Nightstalkers have reunited.
Where I would also argue everyone is already fighting. So you didn't even need to show up to do this. The Nightstalkers
Well, I mean, they're
hate
kind of
each
pissed
other.
at each other for some reason.
They hate each other.
I don't know why Frank Drake is wearing a jacket, but the jacket's got these weird, like, comic booky shoulder pads.
Yeah, they can't decide how they want this guy to dress, because sometimes he's dressed like Paul Revere, other times he's dressed like Galileo, and now he's dressed like Buckaroo Banzai. So I don't know.
It's so true.
It's a whole
It's so
thing.
true. So Lilith shows up at the Borderline Investigations office, dressed like a hooker with a sun hat. She tells the 3 men that she wants to hire them to kill 2 demons. I'll give you $5 if you can name who those demons are.
Yeah.
It's Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze.
And in this disguise, she is not hiding the fact that she is not human at all. I think she just banked on the fact
she is. It's just not convincing.
Yeah.
Because Blade is onto her shit immediately.
I think she banked on the fact, like, I'm going to show some cleavage and no one will look at my giant goldfish eyes and ridiculous demon eyelashes, apparently.
Right. She's also chalk white, you know. She
also does not appear to have a nose. Like, just 2 holes in her face.
No.
Oh, later on we see the shading, yes.
But I love this whole thing because Lilith is like, pay no attention. It is I, normal human woman, here to hire you for a job. And the Nightstalkers are like,
Yeah. But of course, they're like,
Blade is on her right away.
We should do it, though.
Oh, we should definitely do it. Yeah. We are definitely going to take this job.
This bitch is a demon in disguise, but we should do this.
If for no other reason, then look, Ghost Rider is a demon. So,
I think, okay, yes. And they definitely sell the fact that, like, look, we already don't trust the Ghost Rider. We don't like demons. So this is a chance to take him out and maybe figure out what's going on with this weirdo girl. So maybe there's something along those lines.
Yeah. So the thing about the Nightstalkers is that they hate the occult. That's their whole deal. And
the whole time, Blade keeps saying over and over again, there are worse things than vampires in the night. So he's like signaling, like, Ghost Rider. They all think he's Zarathos too. Zarathos, bad news. Demon, bad news.
Yeah, exactly. The boys have decided to go for it. They go to see Frank's tech expert, whose name is Silicon, as in Silicon Valley.
She works at MIT. She's working on this stuff for him at MIT. You know, I mean, why not? Sure.
Right. Yeah. She has built a gun for Frank that fires something called necrotech.
God.
And it is basically nanotechnology that reacts to occult energies. Which, okay, fair.
They named it Linda.
Frank, they named the gun Linda, yeah.
After Linda Blair from The Exorcist. Hey, see?
Of course.
There you go. Frank, like Johnny, has no superpowers, but does get a gun from his smart friend. Meanwhile, Blade gets his signature swords from a weird treasure chest.
And this, for the first time, is where we see the version of the character that we know today take shape.
Okay, maybe. And I'll buy, this is why this book sells for $70 CGC 9.8, because this is your first modern Blade, right? Blade with the samurai
again, and
sword.
also ungraded, it's worth whatever I said, 12,
Right.
$15.
But like, if you want to say,
I like this
first modern Blade, he's got the sword.
The evolution of Blade as a character.
Right. Wearing black leather. It's right here.
We learned that Doctor Strange is responsible for sending Marlene into a coma.
Not Martine. Marlene.
Not Martine. Very specifically, not Martine.
Yes.
Doctor Strange is the one that sent her into a coma to, I guess, inspire Frank Drake.
Best case scenario, he's trying to get her out of the situation because this other stuff's going to happen to these people. That's
no.
The only way I think
he was manipulating Frank Drake into.
No, I agree. And in doing so, taking poor Marlene out of the situation by putting her in a coma. so she won't be around. That's the way I'm going to read it for Doctor Strange's sake. Otherwise,
okay,
dude, right. Like we need to talk.
Fair enough. Our boys have tracked down the Midnight Buddies. And then we've got a Donnybrook, baby. It's on. We see that Meat Market is watching things from the shadows. He's camouflaged. He's invisible somehow.
Continuing the confusing powers theme, which is good. They're consistent there.
Frank shoots Ghost Rider with Linda, and the Necrotech uses his bones, trapping him in an immobile prison. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, Linda is no joke.
The Necrotech looks like he can do just about anything at once. So, and even the weapons have confusing powers.
So I'll give credit where it's due. Linda is pretty impressive as a weapon.
I suppose.
And also, it's not like a crutch because it takes a long time to charge up.
Yeah.
And in between shots. And so, yeah, it's like Frank fires it once and then Frank's on his own for a while.
Good news. While Linda's charging up, she's got two little blades that you can stab people with, like a bayonet.
I guess. That's very ineffective.
Yeah.
Hannibal summons a plague of rats to distract Meat Market, giving Blade the opportunity to decapitate him. Meat Market, not really that formidable, I guess.
Well, but I think Meat Market's main jam is like, I can just put a new head on and I'll be okay.
Well, I mean, also he got shot. He got shot by Linda.
Yeah.
And Blade is Blade.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And Meat Market's back next issue, so he's all right. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's an immortal demon. He's not.
I guess.
Not. Across the river, on board the USS Constitution. So this is happening in Boston in a very famous location. Lillith and Doctor Strange are together on the boat, watching this stuff happen from afar. Lillith is trying to bait Doctor Strange into directly entering the struggle. And Strange is like, no dice, sister. If you and I fight directly against one another, it's going to push open the doorway between worlds and your demon army will have no resistance whatsoever.
Right. So we finally.
So that's why Doctor Strange is doing all of this stuff on the sly. He knows that only the 9 chosen champions, or as the prophecy states, ordinary men, can defeat Lilith.
Ordinary men,
he hangs
like
out.
Morbius.
I don't know what kind of ordinary
Blade
men he hangs out with.
Ghost Rider.
And Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Right.
Ordinary men.
Yeah, right. The battle concludes. Blade, Frank, and Hannibal form an uneasy truce with Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze. They decide we're going to call ourselves the Nightstalkers, and their mission will now be to fight the things that go bump in the night, as Matt says. They say, quote, the night is no longer safe for the forces of evil. And chapter 5.
A vampire says the night is no longer safe for your kind. And when they say your kind, they are talking to Johnny Blaze and Ghost Rider. They're like,
well,
we are not bros.
They're still convinced while they have formed a truce.
Right.
Ghost Rider is definitely a demon, and Johnny Blaze is in the service of a demon.
Right. So they're like, we do not trust you.
And so they're like, when this is over, you're next.
And they're like, great. Okay. Time to team up. Let's do it. Let's all team up and roll out together. Yeah. And here's another theme. No, they don't. They just leave. They just leave.
No, they don't. They all depart. They leave separately.
Yep. Still, we're in the final episode. No team up. Okay. Nightstalkers, skim it. Give it a skim it. I don't like the Nightstalkers. They didn't do anything to sell their personality here. All they did was fucking fight with each other. And then when Ghost Rider and Johnny show up and like, hey, we're obviously on the side of good, trying to stop the end of the world. They're like, yeah, but we still don't trust you. So we're going to fight you too. And then we'll reluctantly team up and fight the other guys. Then we're going to tell you to fuck off out of Boston.
Sure.
See, the Nightstalkers are fucking, they're jerks. They're idiots to fall for Lilith's dumb plan. And they didn't fall for Lilith's dumb plan.
They were wise to Lilith from the start.
And two of them dress
like, look,
like time travelers. I can't handle it.
This chick is obviously evil and using us, but these guys are demons, so we might as well just do what
Skim It. The best I'm giving this team. I do not care about the Nightstalkers. They are.
I'm going to give this a Skim It as well, with the caveat that I'll probably read more of it, and I'll probably end up
out of here. Really?
No, for real. Because I think that I like these three dudes. Look, Frank Drake looks ridiculous.
He's just stupid looking. Absolutely stupid.
But I think that these three as a trio, I think that's pretty fun. I like Cannibal King as the good guy vampire. Blade is obviously Blade. And I think it's fun to see the kind of origins of his current status quo. He is wearing, by the way, a bright red turtleneck underneath.
Oh, yeah. Good news, Joe. You only have 18 issues to read. That's it. This made it to issue 18 before it got canceled.
Really rough design on Blade. Yeah, so I'll probably check out more Nightstalkers. I think the art is good. I understand that it's rough in parts. I think Tom Palmer as an inker overwhelms the artist he's inking.
Yes.
That's not really an excuse. Ron Garney still did the layouts and the figure drawing. But yeah, it's kind of a weird mishmash of styles. But
everything about all these books look rushed to me. Like
you can see him working. Like you can see him working. Proto Ron Garney.
But everything about these books, it feels like they changed something or added some pages or forced some stuff into the story, so they had to rework some panels really fast. Because none of the artists that we know are at the top of their game here. Even Adam Kubert, who looks at his best.
They're early in their career.
Right. But he looks at his best when he's doing the Spirits of Vengeance stuff. That was not even part of the crossover, you know? Like, it just happens to be the story that they went, we should make this a crossover. We should expand this into all these other books. Yes, make them do it. Force it into it looks rushed. Let's get to this last chapter. I need to finish this. Good Lord.
I'm curious to at least get through enough of the Midnight Sun stuff to read Siege of Darkness, which is the last crossover they ever did.
Oh boy.
It is at least double the length of this one.
You can't make me.
It's got a lot of chapters, baby.
You cannot
It's a lot of chapters. Anyway, but that's neither here nor there. We're not here to talk about Siege of Darkness. We're here to talk about Midnight Suns. Final chapter, chapter 6, Rise of the Midnight Suns, Ghost Rider 31. As we established last episode, our last Midnight Suns episode, for some reason, this event skips 2 issues of Ghost Rider. It doesn't matter. Don't think about it.
They had other stuff going on.
And you know what? I'll bet that those 2 issues of Ghost Rider tie in just as much as Spirits of Vengeance, but they did not include them in the trade.
Wrong. They don't tie in at all. Not in the slightest. And this furthers my conspiracy that this was not an event until it became an event, right? Because 29 is still a tie-in with the X-Men stuff from X-Men that launched in 92. And then 30, Ghost Rider's fighting Nightmare, which has nothing to do with this. So no, they don't tie in.
All right. So November 1992, written by Howard Mackey, pencils by Andy Kubert, inks by the legend Joe Kubert. Colors are by Gregory Wright. Letters are by Janice Chang. It's $12 in near mint. That makes sense to me. CGC 9.8, $90. Danny Ketch is walking through a narrow path between the realm of dreams and the realm of nightmares.
Great panel, too. Looks really good.
It's a great page. We see a lot of terrible, scary visions and a bunch of heartwarming stuff. I don't know. I guess that's God in the top right corner.
Maybe. Yeah.
Lillith and her Lilin find the body of Meat Market, who is less decapitated than the previous chapter would have us believe.
It looks nothing like the Meat Market from the last chapter.
It looks a little bit like him.
He's
but
pink, and he's got like weird little like feely things on his face.
All right. Let's not spend too much time talking about it. She wants to stage her final battle against the 9 at the place of her resurrection, which means the whale's butt in Greenland.
Yeah. Got to get him there, though.
Pilgrim opens a portal, and they all teleport to Greenland, which is thousands of miles away. Meanwhile, Ghost Rider and Blaze are driving through the Berkshire Mountains.
Irresponsibly close to each other on the highway.
very, very close. And they are looking for Doctor Strange. Only he has the ability to save Dan's life. Ghost Rider has decided Dan must be saved. And also, hey, maybe Doctor Strange can help us fight Lillith.
Yeah.
We know that that's not the case.
I'm going to give Johnny, we learn another superpower of his right here. He can smoke and drive a motorcycle at high speeds, and it does not bother him at all. Can you imagine trying to smoke a cigarette while you're on a motorcycle on the fucking interstate?
Man, I can't. I cannot.
On the interstate. It would just be blowing ash in your face.
I know. So a portal opens up in front of them, and Johnny says it looks like one of those portals that Pilgrim creates. Spoiler alert, it is not. But they drive into the portal. Next, we see Lillith and the gang in Greenland at the whale carcass. It's a Leviathan. We call it a whale because it's funny.
Yeah.
But it's some sort of demon monster. Lillith starts doing some rituals and shit.
Spreads her legs real wide and does some magic.
She's taking a very, very wide stance.
Yeah. And she talks about the poop she came out of again. She's like, let the carcass of Leviathan that wants my prison serve as the focal point for my children's return. So now all the kids are going to come out of Leviathan's butt too. Presumably.
Put a pin in that. We next go to Manhattan, where we see the Darkhold Redeemers get into a cab that is occupied. And the cabbie turns around and says, hey, buddy, you mind if I drop you off so that I can pick these 3 up? And the voice says, I was hoping you would. And then he disappears in a puff of pink smoke.
Now, I also, I can't remember the name of the professor, but I had to really look at this character. Louise. By this time, I was so angry by other things that happened. I'd kind of forgotten that Louise was a woman when we first met her.
Louise looks like a dude in this.
Louise absolutely looks like a dude in this.
So, Louise looks like a dude wearing a dress, which is fine, but we know that Louise is a woman. And also, Buchanan looks like James Coburn. Wait, no, not James Coburn.
More of a Robert Mitchum. Yeah.
Buchanan looks like Robert Mitchum for some reason.
Yeah.
They get into this cab, which has coincidentally been placed right before them by a mysterious teleporting passenger. We go back to Greenland. We see that Doc has built a new body for Meat Market out of the remains of the scientists that Lillith killed.
Sure.
In chapter 1. He also built like another like mindless little monster slave.
Like due to bad word bubble placement, there kind of looks like a hand is like putting his crotch back together too, and it's real furry.
Yeah, it does look like. Yeah, yes, you're right.
Let me just finish that piece for you there.
So Lillith is basically trying to take the bones of the Leviathan and use it to create a vortex that will bring forth her lost children.
Sure.
We see Danny Ketch in the hereafter or wherever he is. The dimension is being torn to shreds. He sees a light. He goes towards the light. Meanwhile, Boston, the Nightstalkers are outside of their office and they see a pink light coming from within. They open the door and it explodes.
Kapow.
The whole office explodes, ruins the office.
Yeah.
And the men have disappeared.
Everybody else politely teleported. Johnny even jokes about it. He's like, whatever. I just love good teleportation. But for some reason, the Nightstalkers get their shit blown to hell. And I think it's because Strange hates them as much as I do.
We see Morbius killing his latest criminal victim.
We assume. We
trust. He murdered 4 homeless people. He deserved their fate. Okay, fine. At this point, we know that Morbius is talking to Doctor Strange. We see the cloak of levitation.
Right. Just a corner of it. They don't show Doctor Strange. They're not even bothering
to hide it.
No.
The end result, though, is the same. The Midnight Suns are all finally assembled for the very first time in Greenland. It's go time. We're going to find and fight Lillith.
Finally. the team up midway through the last chapter of the book. Finally,
several pages into the last chapter of the book. Yes. This is where let's take the pin out of that thing you mentioned earlier, where she's turning the whale into a vortex to summon her Lilith, but she still makes Pilgrim cut a portal in her own chest. Yeah. Oh, that's to get Dan out.
That's to get Danny out. In this moment, we learn another of her confusing powers is to pull Danny out of whatever nether realm he's been trapped in.
Pilgrim uses his fingernail, cuts an incision down Lilith's chest, her ample bosom.
Yeah.
And creates a portal inside of her body. And then she is able to reach inside of her own body and then immediately grab Dan from wherever he is, pull him out. She basically turns him into a monster.
Yeah.
She gives him, she binds his soul to a new demonic body. And then it is go time. They are fighting. Blaze and Ghost Rider are reluctant to fight back against Danny because it's Danny.
Yeah, they love him.
They love him. They don't want to hurt him.
It's not his fault that, Lilith turned him into a half skull face, part werewolf fanged monster. Continuing our bad design on the Lilith, at least, if nothing else.
He attacks both sides. He attacks Pilgrim, which causes Pilgrim to accidentally create a dimensional rift inside of himself.
Oof.
Which sounds badass, but we never actually get to see anything cool at.
No, we're just told it happens, basically.
Ghost Rider wraps Dan up with his chains and then throws him back through the portal in Lilith's body.
That's on Lilith. XYZ, check your zipper. You can't just leave your portal hanging open.
Morb bites Fang and realizes that Fang is responsible for his current physical state. He's the guy that poisoned his serum.
He could taste him.
So he gets a bit of closure there.
Yeah.
Blade attacks Blackout. Frank turns Linda towards the rift. Everyone is convinced that after Frank blasts the portal with Linda, that's all she wrote, baby. Except for Ghost Rider. He knows that it's not over. Vowing that the Lilith Fair will never tour again, he attacks Lilith directly, holds her high above his head, and then he wads her up like a piece of trash, forcing her body into the portal in her body.
Yeah. Obviously, she did not pay attention to the Lilith HR, portal safety video. She wasn't there that day.
The Midnight Suns are victorious.
Sort of like folding up, like a fitted bed sheet. Where you pull it up,
Sure.
And you push all in, and then it's elastic, holds it together. Only this and sucked her out of there, right? But boom, whackoom, she's gone. So
whackoom. The Midnight Suns are victorious.
Yep.
But at what cost? The Nightstalkers immediately turn on Ghost Rider, Blaze,
fuck these guys. I hate the Nightstalkers. They are total jackasses. They're look, all right, we did it. We saved the world. Next up, we're killing your ass. You're next on the list.
I will say this for them. They're true to their own ethos.
They're consistent. Yes, so give them that.
Doctor Strange isn't about that shit, though. He immediately teleports the Nightstalkers and the Darkhold Redeemers away, leaving the Midnight Buddies and Morbius in Greenland. He gives these guys the same speech that he gave Lilith, this BS about why he couldn't attack Lilith directly. Whatever, dude.
Worse than the Watcher. Worse than the Watcher.
Yeah, right. Like, I couldn't interfere, except for all these ways that I interfered. They all teleport away to deal with the Danny Ketch situation once and for all. Spoiler alert for future issues of Ghost Rider. Danny makes it back to the land of the living just fine.
Yeah.
We eventually learn that he and Johnny are half brothers.
Oh.
Did you know that?
Nope, I did not know that. And that is dumb.
I mean, it is what it is. Finally, Nakoda and a very not dead or inside out Lilith.
Yeah, or even bad looking Lilith. Like her outfit, the only thing that seems to happen,
the same.
Her pantyhose. No, time out. Her weird net pantyhose, they are a little ripped up.
I think that's how they always look.
No, I don't think so. I think this is battle damaged Lilith.
Okay, she's got some runs in her hose.
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's battle damaged Lilith.
Oh, yes, you're right, Matt. Her fishnets are intact.
Yes.
Until Ghost Rider attacks her. Now her fishnets are all torn up.
Yeah.
That's how you know she's been in a fight.
Yeah, this is what her battle damage action figure would look like.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Lilith needs time and sustenance to gain her strength back and restore her family. the only source of nourishment nearby? Nakota's blood.
Poor Nakota. Don't eat your TV. You need your TV to see stuff.
I know.
There's got to be something you can eat. I mean, come on.
The end, Matt. We did it.
Not a fulfilling ending. This issue was so rushed and poorly thought out. It's literally just like, all right, we got to get them all in the same place. Okay, teleport. All right, they're there. Okay, now
we shoot him with the big gun one time.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to solve that. How do we get Danny back? She pulls him out of her chest. Okay, great. They fight him for a while, and I guess he's feeling better off panel. Don't worry about it. The Nightstalkers are still pissed. Doctor Strange shows up and goes, everything's fine. Here's the thing, dudes. I need you to do this stuff. And you did it. Hooray. We're good. And don't worry. I'm Doctor Strange. I know that everything is okay because you banished her and got rid of her. But they didn't. They didn't do anything. She's fine. She's completely fine. She's not even hurt. Doesn't even have a hole in her chest anymore. She might be better than where she did to herself after this. This is not a fulfilling ending, Joe. And it's not even a cliffhanger. There wasn't like but is she? No.
It's not a cliffhanger. It's a tease, right?
She just
Lillith
busts out of the snow and she is fine.
Lillith shall return.
Yes.
And she does return over and over and over.
At any point, could she still kill any one of these people and then everyone's screwed? If that's the case.
Yeah, that's unclear, Matt. Because, they stopped this one plan.
Right.
Are there other prophecies?
That's what I'm saying. We have a Terminator problem here where all you got to do is keep going back in time and kill this one guy.
Like, why didn't Skynet send back 100
right?
Terminators?
And if I'm Doctor Strange and I'm like, these 9 people are that important, and I start really thinking about those 9 people outside of Ghost Rider, I might just kill everybody else myself.
I teleport them all to the astral plane.
Right. Or be like, well, what happens if I take them out and she doesn't? Oh, well, nothing happens. She has to take them out. I'm like, okay, sorry, Hannibal, dead, and fuck it, kill Frank too. He sucks, whatever. Hail, Doctor Strange, you saved the Earth.
You're absolutely right. 100% correct.
This sucked. It's like everything about it that makes an event just didn't happen. The bad guy's plan, never really clear. The bad guys themselves, poorly designed, stupid names, their motivations, not really clear. And the big fight, we end up with, didn't finish. No, this is barely an event. Leave it.
So this issue, I'm giving this issue a skim it because the art is great.
I'm giving this issue a leave it because the art doesn't save it. You built up to this. This was your build up. This is your final team up. This is the rise of the Midnight Suns. And it is so underwhelming and thrown together. This just furthers my conspiracy that this was completely rushed and forced. And they had to do something, so they just did this.
I think that your conspiracy is giving them too much credit in the sense that it could have been better, and I think this is just how 90s comics were.
But we've read other 90s
I think if we go
go
back to past events like this,
Executioner song this same year, that
was double the length.
I don't disagree. But it was, I'm not talking about length, just quality. You said this is the quality of 90 comics. I totally disagree. There's plenty of good stuff.
I think this is the quality of a lot of 90s
We read
not all 90s comics,
fair.
Obviously.
We read The Death of Superman. I ended up liking it way more than I thought I would. There was a lot of, there was some garbage there too.
I mean, but that was a 24-part saga.
I totally understand.
Insane.
This could have been so much tighter and so much better done had they had a real plan and just marched into it saying, here's the deal. Where we put them together, they fight this person. In the end, they win, but they're on uneasy terms. Right.
I guess my point is that I don't think there needs to be any conspiracy behind it. I just think that they half-assed it. I don't think that they had a better way ready to go and then just couldn't do it. I think that this is just how they chose to do it.
Maybe you're right. I'm giving them way too much credit. I want to think that editorial forced this on these different creative teams.
Hell no.
And said, we're doing this crossover, because that would make sense for the Ghost Rider shit. 29 and 30 weren't any part of this at all, because they were like, shit, we already had those stories. Like, some of them are at the printers already. What do you want us to do? We'll force it in all this other shit and make it jump around. Fuck it.
I think that this was just a plan.
All right. Entirely possible. And let's look at this cast of characters. I mean, the Nightstalkers. Outside of Ghost Rider, which also wasn't selling very well at this time, you have nothing to lose. Morbius, give me a break. You know, the Darkhold. Come on, you have nothing to lose, so why not just fart something out? See if kids care. All together, where do you come down on this?
You know what? I'm going to revise my rating of Ghost Rider 31. You've sold me. I think it is a leave it. That issue is it's a poor conclusion.
And if I'm just reading Ghost Rider and I've read 29, 30, and this is my 31, and then 32 is a completely different story, I'm pissed. I'm super pissed because I'm enjoying Ghost Rider. The creative team is great. The art is great.
Yeah.
You know, this would just piss me off because the rest of it is basically Spirits of Vengeance.
As an event, as a crossover, Spirits of Vengeance or the Rise of the Midnight Suns, I'm giving a Skim It because it was fun in parts.
It was fun in parts. I agree. I think, and
it was good in parts. I think fully half of it, we were like, this is great.
The Spirits of Vengeance stuff we liked. That's the stuff I gave bias to.
The first Ghost Rider chapter and the 3 issues of Spirits of Vengeance are legitimately good.
But that's 3 more that are Skim It's or a leave it.
And then there are 4 others.
Yeah.
This is a 6-part event that was really 8 parts.
Yes.
And half of it.
And 2 of those that we liked didn't even count for the event, technically. We forced them in here.
Half of it is pretty bad.
I'm saying
half of it is great. Half of it's pretty bad.
Execution, idea, it all leads me to a leave it. It's just so poorly done. There are parts of it that are good.
I can't give it a leave it.
I'm never revisiting this again. And if someone said, Matt, should I read this? I would say no.
I'm giving it a Skim It because I enjoyed reading it.
I enjoyed reading it because it's fun. But
right. I enjoyed reading it, and I am legitimately excited to go back and at least read Ghost Rider, which I've only read a handful.
I've read most of that Ghost Rider series, and I skipped all this crap when I was younger because I was just like, I don't care about that. I thought Johnny Blaze was the dumbest with the hot shotgun and everything. I did not care. I was like, that is so dumb.
But I definitely want to read Spirits of Vengeance because we liked that book.
That turned out to be better than I thought it would be. Yeah.
Reading this inspired me to revisit more of this stuff. So I've got to give it a Skim It.
I'm giving it a leave it. I can't.
But boy, it's a rough road. It was a tough road to hoe to get there.
Holy hell. Joey, we did it. We plowed our way through the Rise of the Midnight Suns, and now we can add our little Midnight Suns glow-in-the-dark green fire patch to our sleeveless jean jackets, which is covered with everything we've read now.
It was all worth it in the end.
That's how we do it. But now it's time to enter the THN Sanctum Sanctorum and talk about some new comics hitting the shelves next Wednesday, May 29th. And here's a preview of what you can find on the shelves at your local comic book store next week. Rye returns to Valiant in Rye, Book of the Dark, #1, and Dan Abnett is writing it, so this one could be worth picking it up. Right now, there's a 50-50 chance you're going to enjoy your Valiant books.
Well, sure. Yeah, right.
Just in time for Pride Month, DC Pride 2024, and Star Trek Celebrations drop, along with an X-Men wedding special that turns out to be a Pride special. We didn't even know.
Yeah, it's like an 80-page giant Pride anthology.
They hid it.
They just call it the X-Men wedding special.
You wouldn't even know, but maybe they're doing that to prevent people like Governor Ron DeSantis from preventing it from ever getting to your local comic book store.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Florida, these could be hard to find. IDW celebrates the 50th anniversary of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla with a one-shot, and it's the kick-ass old-school Mechagodzilla, not that piece of crap from the latest American Godzilla films. And if you didn't get enough of the recent Wolverine and Ghost Rider crossover, good news! Hellverine #1 promises to give you more flaming adamantium claws and skulls than you ever needed, and if that's not enough, the finale of the Sabretooth War promises to leave you covered in gore after you read Wolverine #50. I just have to finish at this point, and I feel like it's just been ripping Band-Aids off to see that scab hasn't healed at all.
I'm in it to win it, baby.
Oh boy. Joey, I could not find one cover featuring a freakishly busty babe, but Power Girl #9 does have a juicy butt shot. I don't know if you're an ass man too, so I gotta ask, what is your must-read pick for next week? I'm stumped.
I really just wish you'd stop this. My pick for next week is Grommets #1 from Image Comics. In fact, I thought Matt was going to pick this for sure.
I missed it. I was looking through. I totally missed this one.
This one's written by Rick Remender and Brian Posehn, with art by Brett Parson and Moreno Dionisio. It's 32 pages for $3.99, and here is your solicit. Miniseries premiere. Thanks, Image. Two best friend outcasts navigate the Sacramento suburbs of 1984, where they find a home in skateboard culture and punk rock. On one side of the coin, Grommets is an authentic look at 80s skate culture, a snapshot of the generation that turned skating into a worldwide phenomenon. On the other, it's a heartfelt coming-of-age story that follows two friends from troubled homes as they navigate their damage in an era when no one cared.
Oh.
This is Rick Remender and Brian Posehn doing like slice of life emotional stuff.
Maybe, yeah. And like, look, when Posehn teamed up with Jerry Duggan, there were great results there on Deadpool. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I think this sounds great. This is kind of a love letter to Generation X, growing up where no one cared about them, latchkey kids and the whole deal. Yeah, this should be really good. The art looks fantastic. Grommets #1. Check it out.
It looks great. My pick for next week is William of Newbury, #1 from Dark Horse, is written and drawn by Michael Avon Oeming. 32 pages for $4.99. Here's your solicit. From the co-creator of the Eisner Award-winning best-selling Powers, comes this brand new anthropomorphic supernatural series that's Hellboy meets Redwall. Redwall. What's Redwall?
It's a book series.
Oh, okay.
About mices.
I don't read books with no pictures.
It's like sword and sorcery with mice and stuff, I think.
Okay. Loosely based on real events in 12th century England during what was known as the Anarchy. Really sounds bad. A time when the country was beset with plague, civil war, and demons. Yeah, it was bad. William of Newbury is a neurotic monk, fearful of the earthly world, but confident and unwavering in the face of true evil. He fights the dead to restore peace, but his brother is intent on stopping him, fearing for his soul. Newbury is dark yet quaint, deadly yet cute. Follow him as he negotiates with thieves, evades his brother and the church, and battles the undead and evil spirits. This is a tale fit for lovers of history and supernatural folklore of all ages. This is Oeming's first all ages project he's been working on. And if you've been following him on Instagram or TikTok, this looks fantastic. I love Oeming, but he's twisting his style a little bit here, and it looks great. I'm really excited for this.
The THN must-read trade for next week is The Man from Maybe from Oni Press. It's written by Jordan Thomas with art by Shaky Kane. That weirdo. It's 112 pages for $17.99. Here's your solicit. Amidst the irradiated plains walks a legend who is more than man. Beware the man from Maybe.
Love the title.
I do too. In the dry and dead future that's coming soon, all life belongs to Oppenheimer-obsessed billionaire Harvard Denny and his corporate scavengers from Smile Incorporated, who pillaged the wastelands in search of atomic contraband. But when a hyper-advanced vessel of possibly alien origin crash lands on the outer edge of Denny's empire of neon-lit ruins, will it bring promise or poison to a distorted world? As the race to acquire the ship's cargo begins, our fate will be decided by a masked bandit and the cold iron of his laser rifle. He knows no name, no home, no surrender, only the whispered hush of those in need who dare call him the Man from Maybe. Give yourself over to an upside-down world where all mutants eat lead and all dinosaurs speak truth in the post-apocalyptic epic of Western-infused action from rising star Jordan Thomas, who you may have seen on Weird Work and Xeno.
Loved Weird Work. Weird Work was great.
I remember Xeno. And psychedelic warlord Shaky Kane. Wow, great. Boy, what a great nickname.
That's the only way I'm going to describe him. Like, he's kind of a psychedelic warlord.
Of course, famous for his works like Bulletproof Coffin and The Beef. This is very much trying to capture the Fallout TV show zeitgeist. It feels like a plot of a Fallout game. I'm into it.
It's even wackier, though. This looks wild. Really wild.
We like Shaky Kane around here.
Yeah, love that
we
dude.
have enjoyed Jordan Thomas's work in the past. Yeah, this sounds like a no-brainer. And it's what? $18 for a graphic novel? Go for it.
If you want to talk about these comics or anything else coming out next Wednesday, hit us up on our Discord and check out the New Comics channel. We post the week's shipping list there, and we scream about all the cool new funny books. And be sure to grab our must-read picks if you want to read along with us, because we're going to review them on next week's New Comics Review Show.
Excelsior! Oh.
And that is it for THN 743. Next time, new comic reviews return, and we're going to give you a sneak peek of our Patreon Extra, where we have collected a stack of Marvel Blood Hunt tie-in #1s for a ludicrous speed review session to let you fanged fiends know which one of these you should and should not be reading. In the meantime, join us for the THN Gang Hang. We do it on Saturdays, 11 o'clock Central. Check out our Discord for details. Joe Patrick, we're talking about Discord a lot. Tell these kids what they can do there.
I'm happy to. You can place your bets on who Hickman had originally picked as the big bad behind the fall of Krakoa.
It was Cypher, right?
People are thinking Cypher.
Had to have been.
We know that it wasn't supposed to be Moira.
Yeah.
So there you have it. You can get in a circle and chant, fight, 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 while Fabian Nicieza squares off with that idiot with the hair from Ancient Aliens,
That fucking
who
guy.
literally asked the man who has probably written more Deadpool comics than anyone else on the face of the planet Earth if he understands Deadpool.
I wanted to punch him in the face before all this, just for his work on Ancient Aliens. That guy's a moron.
I mean, thanks for the memes, though, bro.
Yeah.
I like the meme. Or hey, maybe you just want to discuss our question of the week. This week's question is courtesy of our buddy Hebrews, who says, quote, "This was inspired by my wife challenging me to read A Court of Thorns and Roses. Everyone says that the first book is rough. You got to get through it to the second one, but I am struggling through the first." I've been there. So, what is a piece of serialized pop culture that got better after a rough start? Now, we are talking real level jumpers that went from bad to great, not just like, it gets
Right.
a little better.
Right.
Book series, including comic books, TV shows, movies, they're all fair game, as are things that started out just okay as opposed to terrible. Like, yes, the train wrecks are fun, but hey, we don't need to limit your answers.
Sure.
So, follow your heart. Please keep your question of the week suggestions coming and sign up for our Discord with the link at twoheadednerd.com/Discord. We'll talk about your answers on this week's Gang Hang. And if you don't dig on Discord, send an MP3 submission to the Comic Pushers for Ask a Nerd or for whatever to twoheadednerd@gmail.com, and we'll put you on the show.
If you're new to the show and you would rather crawl back into the butthole of the giant whale you came out of than listen to any more, I assure you it is only because you haven't heard enough. Good news. You can hear the entire run of THN in our digital longbox archive, twoheadednerd.com. THN is a listener-supported podcast, and it would not be possible without the generosity of donors like our newest patron, Bryce Cetron.
Sounds like a comic book character.
Bryce Cetron sounds like he's from the future. He sounds cool
Yeah.
as hell, right? Like
Heck
Bryce
yeah.
Cetron is coming back to stop something terrible from happening. If you like what you hear every week, it's easy to support the show. If you like what you hear every week, it's easy to support the show like Bryce. You can sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/2headednerd.
Before we go, our weekly shout out goes to legendary Marvel Comics artist Don Perlin, who passed away last week at the ripe old age of 94.
Good long life. That's it. That's good to hear. I'm tired of you guys dying
Yeah.
young, you know?
Right. Now, Perlin might not be the most familiar name to younger fans, but he's best known for his work in the 70s, drawing books like The Defenders, Man-Thing, and Werewolf by Night, where he would eventually co-create Moon Knight. In the 90s, Perlin joined Valiant Comics, where he worked as both an artist and an editor, and when there, he co-created Bloodshot. So that dude, he left a mark.
Yeah, definitely. His Man-Thing stuff rules. I love Don Perlin's Man-Thing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Rest in peace, Mr. Perlin, and thank you for all the stories and characters that you gave us.
Sorry about what they did to Bloodshot, but, not your fault, buddy. Until next time, true believers, remember to pre-order your comics or your retailer might just fold you up and stuff you inside your own butthole. This is the Two-Headed Nerd, signing off!
You just watered her up. Put her body inside of her own body.
And I don't know. And apparently physics didn't like that because she was fine. So
yeah, totally fine. Totally.